So today I'm joined by two fabulous ladies. They've come to join us to talk about attending Sales Innovation Expo this year. So we're joined by Janice B Gordon and Bev Hancock. So would you just like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you? Janice, do you want to go first?
My name's Janice B Gordon. I run Scale Your Sales podcast, which is in the top 10, has been for a while, so make sure you go and listen to that, and Scale Your Sales framework, really focusing on customer-centric sales, understanding the sales process from the customer's perspective and making sure you're meeting their needs and adding value to their outcomes. So focusing on those aspects.
Brilliant. And then Bev?
Hi everyone, Bev Hancock here. Really thrilled to be part of this event. It's the first one for me, so I'm really excited. I work in the space of leadership conversation and how do we have those conversations effectively. And I think particularly around how do we have conversations that take us forward into the future? And I think for sales, because the world has changed and we're building different kinds of relationships, every conversation we have with our customers is amazing. So that's the space that I work in and how to do it well.
Well, welcome. Thank you for chatting to me today. So this year at Sales Innovation, we have new masterclasses that we're putting on this year. We're calling them Ask the Experts. And you two are doing day 2 for us in the morning, which we're very excited to be hosting you there. So it's going to be more of an informal session. Obviously, they get that more personal, informal chat, obviously leading from you guys about that advice and tips that you can help them in their career. Do you just want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about in that masterclass?
Yeah, shall I start, Bev? We're talking about connect to connect. Now, often we go to events like the wonderful Sales Innovation Expo and we want to connect with people, but we don't always have the skills to do it and make sure that we're very intentional about what we're doing. So Bev and I have a 3-step process that Bev will talk a little bit more about. So to make sure that when not only at the event, but post-event, you're really maximizing on the connections that you're going to make.
Thanks, Janice. And I think it's those words, connect to connect. I think when we go to these functions and they are just so valuable for networking, we do the first part of the connect and we come away with lovely business cards and LinkedIn profiles and all kinds of wonderful things. In order to convert that into business, the quality of the real connection that we make with our customers is so important. And it's not necessarily a sale. Sometimes it's a connection that results in a sale. So it really is those two words together. So in the 3-step process that we're going to be doing, it's how do we help you to connect with your customers so that you can start the conversation fast, because in a networking environment, you don't have hours to set the conversation up. And that is, what do we have in common? How do we do that? How do we connect on that level? Yeah. The second connect is how do we advance the sale? How do we move it forward? What is the intentional connection that we're making? And then the magic in the middle between those two connects, how do we unlock value so that when people go home, they really want to hear from you?
In this session, we really wanted to give a little bit of structure, but also leave it open to have conversations. So everyone's walking away with something to try out when they're at the event and things to remember post-event to really make sure you're locking in that value from the expo.
And I think great conversations start with good questions. So as an invitation to people who want to come to the masterclass, come with your best questions. The questions are how we all learn together. Although Janice and I have done some work in this field, we will never consider ourselves to be the absolute expert, because everybody brings their own value. And I think this is the work that Janice and I do together, is that we say, how can we unlock the collective wisdom in that conversation? So when we go home with tips and tricks that is really going to make a difference.
This sounds so exciting. We're so thrilled to be hosting this masterclass this year. I think it just adds something to the event. And I think, like you said, Bev, it is about networking. And this is obviously why events are so important, because you get to obviously have that personal one-to-one with experts and leaders like yourselves. And you never know what that chance one encounter at that event is going to help boost your career or sort of build your network. So really, really exciting. So thank you for sharing that with us. So also, Janice, so you're going to be moderating our Women in Sales, so our first ever Women in Sales panel this year, which again is really exciting to be able to do that this year. So we have an app this year. We're proactively advertising the app at the moment so people could download it, and they're actually favoriting the sessions that they want to see at the moment. And the Women in Sales panel is rated #1, so that's really good. So yeah, well done. So yeah, so do you just want to give us a quick brief synopsis on what you're going to be talking about in that session?
We have an incredible panel that's joining us with a wide variety of experiences. And as with all of these things, really, there's so much you want to cover.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to be talking about, we're going to keep it quite topical to in the moment, really. What's the things that are really concerning people right now? Because for me, you know, I've been in this subject for the last 10 years. I talk about it a lot on the Scale Your Sales podcast, and I host so many women in sales, and I'm part of the American and Global Women Sales Pro. So I've been with this, but for some people, it's quite new to them. Mm-hmm. So we want to ease you in nice and slowly, but also we want to have those difficult conversations. And Bev talks a lot about this. You know, you've got to kind of talk about the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. We know there is a lot of data that says that a diverse women in sales bringing more diversity into sales. The stats on sales, 17% of women leaders into that hasn't changed for the last 5 years. You know, the 20 odd to 30 odd percent of women, that has gone down since the pandemic, right? So we're not really making progress, and we really need to start to make progress. So we're going to talk about real kind of actions of what you need to do in your company. And I often say, you're interviewing the company as much as the company is interviewing you. You need to start asking those questions. What is the makeup of your leadership team? You don't really need them to answer. You need them to feel uncomfortable enough to want to do something about it. What's the the makeup of your organization in sales? How reflective is that of your customer? What's the makeup of your customers? Why aren't we reflecting that? You need to start asking these questions and be comfortable with asking those questions. It's not going to change overnight, but it won't change at all unless we start agitating a little bit. And that's what we want to do on the panel.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's so relevant. It's such a relevant topic. And I think it's really important that we get to showcase this at the event this year. So I'm going to ask one little cheeky question. So another topical, out in sales at the moment, very topical topic. So ghosting. Ghosting seems to be prevalent across a lot of industries at the moment, especially in sales. Even on dating apps, believe it or not, it just seems to be the way of the world. So what would you give quick advice and tips for anyone that's watching, that's obviously in sales, that are being ghosted across different industries? What would you say and how to get around it from a sales perspective?
I think the first thing to recognize is it's not personal. Yeah. And we want our potential customers to answer us. You know, I get emails and people are angry with me because I haven't answered within an hour or so. And hang on a moment, you're spamming me, for heaven's sake. I never asked for this information. So we have to really get in the head of that other individual. They're busy, crazy, as Jill Conrad said, crazy busy. We're all crazy busy. You're not my priority. I'll answer in my own time when it becomes a priority. So it's really understanding that. Now, why does that happen a lot? Is because the information you're extracting, you want, the offer you're making isn't important to them at the moment. So if it's not important to me, I'm not going to answer it. When you recognize you might not have the right prospective customer, you know, it's not their priority, then it's really kind of, it's expected that you're going to be ghosted. So it's understanding, how can I make sure I get the customer that has me or my service or my product as a priority, that understands it's going to fit their need. Yeah. Once you've got that, then you're going to be ghosted a lot less. So the onus is on you to make sure that you're really adding value to the right person. And here's the thing, at the right time.
Understanding your audience. There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bev, any tips and advice you want to share?
Yeah, I think building on what Janice has said, I think the first thing, and here I want to take you to the conversation inside your head, because that's where a lot of ghosting takes place. Mm-hmm. And as Janice started off by saying, it's not personal.
Yeah.
And I think to realize that if there is silence does not necessarily mean that they don't want to talk to you. What it means is either they can't talk to you at the moment, or they have got priorities that might be far more burning at the moment. Yeah. I think the other big thing, and this has come through very, very strongly post-pandemic, and that is stop using email as your primary channel only. I think if you are not getting anywhere on email, all right, and you have worded your emails right, because I'm the kind of person who would like an email before a call, all right, try to set up a call, try to get them on the phone and to give them a specific time and to see if you can connect. So I think it's moving from this very comfortable for me email to a quick connect with the client. Are you available for a quick call? Just wanted to touch base. Don't want to waste your time, but let's see if we can connect.
Yeah.
And then lastly, if they don't want to connect now, then ask yourself the question, how do you make it as easy as possible for them to remain part of your community?
Yes.
And have that follow-up. I understand that you're busy now, but can we possibly, I'll diarize to touch base in 3 months' time to see where you're at, and let's see whether or not we can pick up the conversation then. So I think it's those three things. Be careful of the conversation in your head. Look at the assumptions that you're making, and then change the communication style, and then give it time. Find the right time. Exactly how Janice finished with.
I love it. Some really great advice there. And I love what you said about community as well. And that's one thing, obviously, we're trying to do at the show this year, is build this sales and marketing community, because we want people to come along and be able to have that safe space to get advice and tips from experts like yourself. So I love that. So that's all we've got time for today. But I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today, sharing what you're going to be talking about the masterclass. I'm really excited to have you on site this year doing your sessions. So if anyone out there hasn't registered, please register and come along. You can see Janice and Bev do the masterclass on day 2. So that's the 30th of November. So thank you again for joining us. Bye.